Okay. Are we live? Man, I really suck at this YouTube thing. Hey, what's up? Okay, it does seem like we have audio and everything alright. Is the audio better now this time? Well, last time I did a stream was like years ago, but at least this time I have a noise gate. So I hope the audio doesn't suck as much. Alright, alright. We have like 8 people here now. I didn't expect a lot of people, to be honest, because viewership for the latest video, the motion hockey video, was also pretty low. And to be honest, I expect most people would want to watch a lot of the videos before going into the stream. So yeah, but among the people who were following all the videos, the response was pretty positive. So there were a lot of people. There were enough people that were sufficiently into it that I thought it was. I probably owned it to do a live stream. Um, One thing I wanted to get into, and what I think of the Egghead arc by Ryan Midi. Um, what I think of it, it's had its ups and downs, to be honest. Um, I've liked the Kuma backstory. I've not been very into the whole deal with the Seraphim. Um, to be honest, man, since one is ending, I can't say I've been. I've been following weekly with the same, excitement as I did before. Um, but uh, it's been all right. Uh, at this time, I wouldn't say Egghead is one of the greatest arcs or whatever, but I don't have a lot of glaring issues with it. We'll see where it goes. Because to me, one thing that it seems like with the whole with Vegapunk's speech and the Gorosei going after Dendenmushi and stuff, increasingly it seems like Otis setting up a lot of stuff. Um, and it can either go really well, depending on the conclusion, but it can also completely screw it up. Yeah, I know this is kind of a terrible answer, but so one thing that I wanted to get to in this stream, if nothing else, was to go a little bit deeper into Rokushiki, the 6 techniques from Cypherpole, because it was one thing that I kind of explained some of the techniques here and there um, during the other Haki videos, but um, I didn't really go into uh, all of them specifically. And also, one of the things that I had mentioned in a previous video um, was that the different techniques of the 6 techniques, they correspond to different paths, um, the different realms of samsara from Buddhism. Vagapunk's message to set up for care to join in LBF. Yeah, man. I think I've spoken to you specifically in comments about this before, but I don't even know about the carrot situation right now. To be completely honest, I'm not even sure that's her. Uh, that appeared in Zoe, and yeah, Oda is going really far with his whole trolling and fake outs regarding the scared stuff, and to be honest, my entertainment value from it has gone as is already way past due. If you know what I mean. I've not been thinking too hard about it because, um, regardless if it turns out to be the greatest show of all time or something, increasingly I see people being uh, just discouraged from the series in general because they really like this character, and Oda insists on seeming like he really ditched her and put her in Zoe. So yeah, I'm not sure if Vagapunk's message. I've seen some people saying that Vagapunk's message, or hearing Vagapunk's message, would make her realize what Pedro's will really was. I think just from Pedro's comment that she should keep moving forward, I think should be somewhat enough for her to figure out that going back to Zoe isn't exactly what he would want from her. But yeah. Um, so going back to the Rokushiki stuff, I wanted to just give a little bit more of my explanation on why each path kind of correspond to why each technique correspond to an individual path in samsara, the different paths in Buddhism, because I kind of just put a graphic of it during the Conqueror's Haki video, but I didn't really explain why each path actually correspond to one of the technique to each of the techniques, because I've actually done my research in it, and I'm actually pretty confident that that is the case. So I just bring Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now? So I assume you lost about everything I was saying. I'm sorry. My microphone kind of sucks, as I've spoken about before. Uh, Gabiru, the silence voice threat. Goddamn. Uh, yes. Okay, what was about the last thing you guys heard? Thank you. Thank God you stopped mewing. Seems like Yamato and Kirk were both given side quests before they could join the Straw Hats proper. That's what Oda intends for them. Apparently, you haven't missed much, Johan, because I was without audio for a long time. Start pulling up the images and then everything. Okay, so you heard none of the explanation. Um, Amazing. As I said right at the beginning of this stream, I kinda suck at this YouTube thing. Right now, my microphone is literally on top of two boxes and one roll of toilet paper because I don't have a microphone stand. So, yeah, I have bought the most ghetto setup in the game here. Uh, oh, since the start, did you just. It cut off, but it cut off a while ago, apparently. Yeah, I was talking about the Buddhist pets. Okay, Hello? Man, I'm. Goddamn. I guess he's squeaking with ultrasound. I'm very glad you guys are taking this so nicely because, um, yeah, this kind of sucks. I think it's not just my microphone. I think my internet also kind of sucks at the moment. We need telepathy like Den and Wushi. Yes. If only, if only the guys actually continue to invest in the telephone snails. We should have listened to the French guys. It's when you switch over to the slides. Ah, maybe. Let me see. Can you hear me now? No, right, PNG. Lucha be like. That's a huge. Hey, Felix, who has left already apparently. I really appreciate it from this coming from someone who uh, is a fan of Wuxia. I hope I was able to be faithful to the source material in my analysis. Uh, I have done one stream in the past. Literally just one, yes. As you can see, I'm not very good at it. I mean, if I was doing it on a group, if I was doing multiple people, it would be really embarrassing, right? And saying, yes, I'm doing this on my own. What do you think of the latest One Piece chapters? Think Vegapunk's message is dragging out? Um, a little bit, a little bit. Um, do you have a take on Ring and Ice yet? Because I have been finding more and more examples of it in the series, and they leave me with less and less conclusions. Um, I had one take on it. I think on the my earliest carrot video that it related to it marked people who were immortals. So Hakuba is probably immortal to some extent. Um, because he's probably he seems like some kind of spirit that probably has to jump from bodies to bodies once they grow old. Imu is pretty much confirmed to be immortal at this point. Mihawk is based on Dracula, who was immortal. Yeah, right now it's just silent because I was reading the comments. Um, in Zunisha, I had theorized in that video is also immortal, and by immortal I mean unaging, right? Literally cannot be killed. Um, but I'm not sure. I mean, I do think it relates to people who are immortals, but it might be just that they share some of the same hints. Um, and not necessarily that is what is causing it. Because one thing that I noticed when I was making the emotion Haki video, uh, so Justice Cat it says, so far I found panels of Kaido, Big Mom, Robin, Boa, and Cinder Sony displaying them for only 1 or 2 panels at a time. Yeah, a lot of the times Oda just does that to, you know, show emotion from them, show that they are, show intensity. It doesn't really mean much. Uh, it's it's meaningful really when you're looking at these guys during this in regular situations. You know what I mean? You'll find characters all over the series displaying the ring dice in situations where they're being really intense or whatever. Yeah, and Miss Double Fingers gets those eyes when she survives the lightning strike. Uh, but one thing that I noticed about the ring dice is that like the projector Den and Mushi seem to have them. And Zunisha showed them when he was showing Momo's vision. So I also wondered if I also wonder if they might be representing like two irises in one, if that makes any sense. Because when Zunisha was showing his vision to Momo, it was like two different people were looking through Zunisha's eyes, right? Zunisha himself and Momonosuke. That make any sense? So it might relate to something like two people being looking out of the at the same time looking out of that eye. So it might, which might have to, which you know how it would relate to the projector Den and Mushi sharing vision and such. Actually, do you think Mihawk is a sword, a spirit of a sword, like a sword Cobalt Man? Not really, man. I seen, was it Power Vision that had a theory like uh, Mihawk was a sword? I don't think so, man. I mean, at least I haven't seen anything pointing in that direction. Why in your theories Carrot is like Emu 2.0 or other side of Emu? To be queen of the world or something? Um, Here's an interesting thing, man. If people who are looking for some carrot copium, I'll give you an interesting one, okay? Um and it's the story of the great renunciation of the Gautama Buddha. So, basically, according to legend, when the Gautama Buddha was born, um, some some sages came over and made predictions, right, about his life, because uh, the Gautama Buddha he was born as a prince to the Shakya family, which was kind of like the ruling family of the Shakya Republic. It was kind of like an aristocratic republic. Um, Hey, Mr. Bushido, thanks you for the donation. And I still think Carrot is joining the crew. There has to be more to Carrot getting the queen title. I think there's an extra motive to her job. So, uh, this here that I'm talking about might explain why Oda decided to go with this making her a ruler, kind of. So basically, when the Gautama Buddha is born, so some sages come over and make predictions about his life, right? So some of the sages, so basically the sages predict that either he's gonna be a great ruler, and the word that they use, I don't remember it exactly, but it can mean like even ruler of the world. Okay, so he'll either be the ruler of the world, or he will become a great spiritual leader. So his father, who was the current leader, was the leader at the time of the Shaka Republic. Um, he decides to keep. He wants uh, Siddhartha, who becomes the Gautama Buddha, to become this great leader, to become the ruler of the world. So he keeps him isolated inside this palace, right? Um, Pretty much his entire life. So only when so only when Siddhartha is an adult, he finally goes out and he sees what are called the four sights. Basically, he sees a corpse, he sees a starving man, he sees a man plagued by disease, and he sees an ascetic man, a monk. Basically, Siddhartha's fathers try to keep him isolated and unaware of suffering and death. Siddhartha goes out, he sees that, and he gets inspired. And he goes back to the palace once, and then he decides to leave. He leaves for good, and he wanders the world as an ascetic monk, right? Eventually reaching enlightenment and thus becoming the Buddha. So one thing that you know, look to Imu, and you notice that Imu lives isolated in a palace, right, and rules the world. So what you see how that relates to Siddhartha's story. So if I'm saying uh, so if I'm saying Carrot will uh, choose not to be isolated in the world, even though the dukes want her to do so and travel the world, that will mark her becoming the new Buddha. Does that make sense to you guys? Anyways, The four sides sound very similar to the four horsemen. Um, Maybe by kind of coincidence, because there was no. This story predates Christianity, basically. Any thoughts on there being more of Joy Boy's companions alive today? Uh, I mean, other than Zunisha, who was an immortal elephant, but there's the robot as well. I honestly don't have any thoughts on that. Uh, what do you think about the idea of Bonnie becoming Straw Hat? There has been some discussion about that. I think people are very quick to um, jump on the new bandwagon. So the moment um, the moment Lilith showed up in Egghead, it's like Lilith is the new Straw Hat. Then Bonnie is the new Straw Hat. Now Stussy is the new Straw Hat. Uh, I have kept with my 2013 theories, man, because that's what I get and what I continuously getting from looking at the whole manga from start to finish. Um, I can look very far back and find stuff that relates to Carrot eventually becoming a Straw Hat. I can look very far back and find stuff about Yamato. I can look very far back and find stuff about Vivi returning. About Bonnie, not so much. To be honest, there isn't great evidence to show that I think that Bonnie even existed as a character in Oda's mind before she showed up in Sabaody. I noticed that in the chart of Straw Hat members, it would make more sense if Nami were to put after Usopp and Sanji, as Usopp would be observations, Sanji would be armament. I really think Sanji is supposed to heavily relate to emotion haki because of all the hints that I talked about. Specifically, the stuff about their real life countries seem really, really on the nose. The way it relates to the history of hypnotism and stuff. From Sanji coming from a nation literally built on top of huge snails. Um, and I would stick with Nami being. Nami really is supposed to be the third member. I see a lot of people saying that Nami is supposed to be the fifth member. I think mainly because of the. I think the anime in one of his first openings kind of showed Nami last or something. But Nami's official number is supposed to be three, right, on the crew, and just like Sanji's official number is supposed to be fifth on the crew. So even when Nami comes back, the chapter in which it happens, I think it's chapter 94, is called the second, right? Just like when Zoro first joined, that chapter is called the first because Zoro is the first recruit. I don't think any supernova joins the Straw Hat. Yeah. Interesting enough, none of the Straw Hat candidates have ever met each other. I think Vivi is just because Vivi is just, has just been very far away through this whole thing. I do think the thing about Yamato never meeting characters deliberate though, because of the things that I spoke about Night, aka Carrot's mother, during that video on her Carrot's past and all of that. I guess I mean that. Sorry for the tons of comments. No problem, man. No problem. I mean, it's better to not have nothing to talk about. I guess I mean that Carrot was in Wano. It had the embodiment of the four horsemen. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I see your point. So I mean Carrot having. The thing is, Carrot didn't really see many of the calamities, I think. What do you think about the Yamato cover story? Man, I'm always surprised about that cover story, how Oda is taking his time before Yamato actually does anything. Um, like how many chapters has it been for Discover Story already? And so far, Yamato was still getting bent or some shit. Like she gets some money from Kiemon, she gets bento. What was the last thing that happened? I don't remember, but Yamato has not even began the journey still. Why Chopper, robbing, etc. do not have the. You see, robbing actually has one, I think, kind of. I don't remember it exactly, but I think when they're leaving Water 7 and Usopp comes back, it's something like the fourth and the seventh or something because the crew has reunited. Now they have Usopp and Robin again. But I'm pretty sure Robin actually third. I mean, it will be third and sixth, given it's the orders of the recruits and not orders of members necessarily. Otis playing with fans' emotions, yeah, and I'm a bit tired of display at this point, which is why I keep saying I don't really care too much about what Otis is doing with character at this moment because he's gonna keep playing, and I'm a bit tired of the play. Is the fire Luffy creates when he uses Red Hawk or Red Rock likely a form of breath haki? If so, I think it would be fitting for the main characters to master all 5 forms of haki by the end. I don't think you can. mm, I think it depends on what you mean by master, because I think there are near infinite possibilities of what you can do with each of the colors. Specifically with breath haki, it's so ample in what you could do. But Luffy, interestingly, has used at least one form of each of the shades of Haki. So he has used armament, right? He's used observation, he's used conquerors, but also I said he has used fast digestion from Semi Kikan, and that at least is a form of breath Haki, of nature Haki. Uh, and the fire could easily be that as well. But I'm willing to put my foot down that the same Kikan stuff is a form of nature haki, and Luffy has used it, at least in the sense of fast digestion. Um, and he's used some of the telepathy, some of the thought sharing back in Onigashima. So he's used emotion haki as well to some extent. Do you think that part of Robin's connection to observation haki could be related to stealth? It seems like Robin is always hiding from people who are looking for her, like the government. She's an assassin, and her job is uncovering secret things, which is related to me. Somewhat, yeah. Oh no, the Cryodo, you're right. It's the third and seventh for Frankie and Usopp. Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. Uh, about Robin, Cryodo had actually made a very uh, interesting comment about her in the previous video. That something like, if you can if you can see how Haki will flow to use future sight, you should be able to do the reverse uh, to see how Haki has flown towards to see how Ki has flown to where it's at, right? To do something like past sight, I agree that it's a possibility. It will probably be less useful in battle than something like future sight, but yeah, seeing the past to some extent should also be a possibility with observation Haki. And thematically, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Robin. In regards to the previous comments, I found all the stuff when looking into chapters with Blackbeard foreshadowing, and it seems like they hint towards whatever he did to Shanks and what his secret is. I don't really get what you're talking about. I think Brook Ice Cut is also probably Haki. It's just that he can only use that nature of the undead because that fruit. See, I think Brook being able to imbue his soul energy into the sword could be considered Haki, like a form of Haki imbuement, right? Uh, but uh, but the code aspect that comes from it, I think it's a property. Is just a right. It's just an inherent property of his devil fruit, which I think is what you're saying. Minks seem to have an ability or something about them that allows them not to be detected by others, like being undetected by Luffy, the White Red Pirates, and Roger Pirates. Uh, yeah, I had an interesting discussion. Um, Krydo has also pointed something out about this, with Sanji potentially using a technique of maybe in the future using a technique of emotion hack to be able to hide his presence, because you know there its powers involved this idea of hypnotism and illusion. I think his stake more was erasing, the ripples to erase his presence. Personally, I think it would make more sense to uh, to create an illusion that you're not actually there, if that makes sense. Um, Basically, you would create this. You'd kind of camouflage your presence. I think by sending this mental image to the person that they're actually not sensing anything, uh, where you're supposed to be at to be able to mask your presence. Uh, I'm not sure if the minks hiding their presence would be a form of haki, but I think that something like that is more likely than them using something like Shank's observation killing power, which comes from Conquerors, which is a bit more of a hard sell, right? Y'all think if Robin got pregnant, she could duplicate herself and have twins, or that is a that's a great question, man. I'll just leave for everyone to reflect on that. Do you think Knight will appear in the Yamato cover story because the last place he will visit is Ringo? Maybe some kind of hint towards what Knight did in Ringo, but Knight herself no. Because Knight has only two places she could be at this moment. Either is in Marijoa. Yes, babysitting Lolly Emu. Or on the way to Egghead to fuck the Straw Hats up. What's going on, bro? Exactly. It is hard hitting, I guess. Uh, what haki is the rope guy using? Rope haki? It's I don't think it's haki, man. I think the guy's just really good with ropes. Six secret color. The shipwright haki. Say, what do you think will be the official matchups between the Straw Hat Pirates and the Blackbeard Pirates once that fight will finally happen? Um, I unfortunately cannot talk too much about that at the moment, about final matchups and shit. Before, sometimes, probably not in the near future, when I talk about my theory of what the One Piece endgame will be. I'll just say that other than the really obvious ones, like, and I mean really obvious ones, like Luffy versus uh, Blackbeard or Usopp versus Van Augur, that those matches will probably not be um, what people are imagining, where most people are imagining at the moment. The shopper cure-all using Brat Haki involve more him having a mastery of the color or creating a chemical medicine that through research of Haki jumpstarts the patient's own Haki to heal. The way I envision it uh, would be Chopper literally controlling parts of the patient's body using his own Haki. So same Ikikan, but controlling the patient's body instead of his own. Um, I think that that's easy to visualize as well because going back to the whole, um, inspiration that Haki takes from Qigong and stuff, like uh, medical Qigong is still big to this day, and stuff like, uh, the myths about cure by the hands and stuff are still fairly popular. So it'll be something like, I think you can imagine something like that existing in the One Piece world, except not being, bullshit. Chopper was stronger, Q is dead. Why though? The Hunter versus the Wabbits. Oh, we're going Looney Tunes with that. I see. No, that makes sense. Guys, what if the what if Paul's ropes are actually his spiritual incarnation, guys? He creates the ropes on the spot for his from his conqueror Haki. How about that? What are your thoughts on laws and kids' next actions? Um, I'm not sure if their next actions are too important, to be honest, because it seems to me like once the one of fights ended, Oda straight up and Oda went on fast track to basically remove Law and Kid from the equation. Um, if you get what I mean, I'm saying that basically, Kaido's Luffy's fight with Kaido ends, and then what does Oda do almost immediately after? He has Shanks come up and saying, "Yo, we're going after the One Piece, right?" And then he has Buggy be like, "Yo, we're also going after the One Piece." He has Blackbeard be like, "Yo, actually, we're also going after the One Piece, right? We're going after the road poneglyphs and such." And then he straight up removes uh, the other guys who were kind of on the race, Law and Kid, almost immediately after. So my take is that basically Oda's setting up the Yonko to be the real guys on the race for the One Piece. If that makes sense. But yeah, if you go to chapters with digits 8 or 3, 8 and 3, 8 and 2, 7 and 3, they almost have something that can be extrapolated onto Blackbeard. Uh, I can't really say without um, looking at the chapters myself, but Blackbeard is easily one of the characters with the most foreshadowing in the entire series. So um, I'm not really doubting on that. Any guesses on which Vegapunks will survive once the arc is over? Um, no, I don't really have guesses on that. I'm not even sure if the ones that were killed are permanently dead because who was it? Was it Mars that recently raised the question if Vegapunk is where Vegapunk's true self is? Um, then maybe they can just be recreated in the consciousness or whatever, just stored in the big head known as Punk's records. I think Paul is using Haki just like the fisherman Minx, is just that he is surrounded by rope. That is about the only way that it could be Haki, you're right. So something like nature Haki, but using it to control the ropes, kind of like, um, kind of like users of Seimekikan, like Kumadori can control his hair using Haki, right? I'm just not sure if it has to be rope, if it has to be Haki. See, I doubt Kid is done for, and Beppo could swim directly to Zou to ask for support. See, it's not that they're done for. Uh, I just mean like they can come back, but really the main purpose of them being defeated, I think, is to really put uh, the Yonko specifically as the ones who are definitively on the race for the One Piece. Okay, I think what is really telling us, yo, these four guys here are the ones who are in actual battle for the One Piece. Law and Kid will surely come back, but they will never be Yonko level players. They will probably either join up with other Yonko Luffy or get defeated fully, but are dead. Yeah, exactly. Mythical human from Monopoly. Yeah, I'm glad the main takeaway from this live stream is poly agenda. Red, white, black, and blue are also the four of the five main Chinese colors, particularly the ones referred to Southwest. Yeah, I talked a little bit about this in the, I think both in the Foundation's Haki video and in that little unlisted video of Gust, 2 Infinity, how this relates to the four symbols and the Yonko and that cover from volume 105. When Water 7 arc was airing in Italy, every girl I know was in love with Polly for some reason. Really? Man, what what the fuck? I guess this really is the Polly agenda stream. What the hell? With us seeing that Carrot is indeed back in Seoul, seemingly taking on her role as leader there, how do you think she will re-enter the story? I'm not even sure that's her. Okay, I'm just saying. But uh, if that's really her, she'll probably come back in Elbaf, I guess. But my guess is still she comes back in Egghead somehow. Uh, Other than that, I'm kind of tired of all this bullshit surrounding her, so I haven't been looking too deeply, to be honest. Paulus Lindbergh. There are also 20-day signs in Aztec mythology, and since Imu is one of the families in still, the real problem with Aztec mythology is I can never pronounce anything in it, but I guess it was for his voice actor. The Italian voice actor, you mean, or Simone has a sexy voice? I'll trust you on that. I will trust you on that. Hey, I'm a fellow YouTuber. I believe I made a very major discovery involving Goroase. Any chance I could talk to you about this at some point? I don't speak Japanese and need help. Um, I don't know, try to hook me up in private maybe? And then we'll see about that. It's also Itachi Uchiha. Okay. Itachi Uchiha the best, had the same Italian voice actor as Paulie. It's great information. We know Catherine Devon and Bone Clay are. Yeah. So here's the. I'll just say this, okay? Uh, do I expect this to happen? Not really. But this is One Piece we're talking about, and Oda has gone really far on this character trolling stuff. So it's an actual possibility, okay? Uh, but she might be a drawing actually, and by drawing I mean a literal drawing. If you don't remember, uh, there was this one point in Onigashima where Odin showed up. Except it was fake Odin who Kanjuro drew with his power of the brush fruit for the Fudonomi. Um, yeah, the thing is Kanjuro died, so his fruit should have respawned somewhere in Wano, right? So again, don't quote me on this. Even if it turns out to be right, I don't really want any credit for this. But I'm just saying it's a possibility that that fruit respawned and someone else ate it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that that carrot could be a fake made with the power of the Fudonomi. Specifically, my guess of how that could have happened would be uh, Bariet the monkey. You guys remember Bariet, Carrot's little monkey mink friend? He was introduced by literally falling. He was introduced by literally falling from Zou on top of Kinemon and Kanjuro as they were climbing the as we were climbing the elephant on top of Kanjuro's drawings. Uh, Anyways, I'm not saying carrot with conjures fruit. Uh, I'm saying like my guess would be Bariet with conjures fruit. Does that make sense? Bariet the monkey. Because he last time when Carrot is sneaked away on the Sunny, she had to bribe. She had to bribe Bariet with bananas, so he wouldn't rat out on her. So he would be the most likely to be in on her shenanigans if she left. So what I'm saying is he could have eaten the fruits, and he could have made that fake carrot. Because to be honest, that's about the thinking back. That's about the only way. Some bullshit like that is about the only way how Carrot could have successfully sneaked into the Sunny. Because you know she was elected as the new leader. So why the hell would they just? So if she sneaked away, how would they just leave her? Except if they really thought she was there. Does that make sense? Yeah, the years are something that I found really weird when I seen that panel, because if you look at the fake Odin that appeared in Onigashima, he also wasn't exactly like Odin. Um, his hair was a little bit exaggerated. His clothes were a little bit longer. Um, I've seen some people saying that Carrot's ears are bigger every time she shows up. Actually, not true. Um, because if you look at even very recent drawings of her, her ears, the size of her ears stay very similar. From the first time she appeared, from the time she was in that cover of chapter of volume 105 to recent official art from her, the size of her ears are pretty consistent, and then they just look fucking ridiculously large. Maybe it is that she's just really listening, so Oda drew her ears kind of cartoonishly large. Uh, but yeah. The drawing fruit, I think, looks like a large fig, if I could describe it. It's about the best way I could describe it. I'm saying it might have been a fake. Okay, I'm saying it might have been a fake. Again, I'm kind of over the carrot shit. I'm just waiting. I just when she shows up, she shows up. Okay, but I'm kind of tired of all this place surrounding her. Karma strains her ears now that she's the ruler. Yeah, there might be. It's just her ear haki. Can you give an explanation why Bonnie hates carrot vegetable? Do you think it is carrot return foreshadowing? Um, a lot of carrot questions today. But yeah, during the time when I was making when I was researching for the second part of Gust, I also happened to find a shit ton more stuff on Carrot. Uh, in the end of that little unlisted video of Gust, I put a little meme where it's like, I'm tired and I just want to theorize about Haki, but Oda just keeps throwing stuff surrounding Carrot to me. And that's kind of a little bit of my accurate feelings, to be honest. because I was really just trying to theorize about Haki, but I keep running into stuff like fucking Lao G dressed like a rabbit and stuff. Um, and yeah, I found a shit ton of stuff, man. I'm not gonna be working on those videos until Oda actually brings her back again, stops playing. But like, frankly, I have enough content for like at least 2 more full videos on her. And yes, it does answer a little bit of the Bonnie, the relations to Bonnie and Kuma and stuff. Do you have a Discord server, Gabiru? I don't. I do have a. I don't have a server. I do have a Discord account. You notice? Yeah, I saw the rabbit drag. I see eights and threes in my sleep. That's fair. That's fair. Say, I forgot what you said in the Cern 13 video, but what was your reasoning for Yamato to go join the Straw Hats despite her reasoning for staying behind? Actually, when I made the Cern 13 video, we were still in Wano. So, I didn't have any reasoning back then because Yamato had not decided to stay behind. My reasoning on how Yamato comes back is that what I think will likely happen at some point is that we know Yamato made Ace's Vivre right? We also know that Luffy was, after his battle with Kaido, Luffy was out for like a week after. Okay? Or was it 2 weeks? I don't remember. Anyways, I think it's pretty much impossible that Yamato did not make a Vivre of Luffy during that time when he was out cold. So imagine, okay, we're in the new world, and something really bad happens, and Luffy's Vivre starts burning away. Alright? What do you think Yamato does in that situation? I think likely at some point what will happen, because Yamato is not gonna just sit there now that she's free, or he's free, whatever, and just watch Luffy's Vivre burn away. Right? Yamato is probably gonna go and try to save Luffy if he's really in a very desperate situation. So that's how I think Yamato will come back. I think probably at some point Luffy will come very near death, and Yamato will see Luffy's Vivre card burning away, and go save him. Yes, Polly will also show up because, of course, Polly has a Vivre card, and he will go there at incredibly fast speed using his rope haki, of course. Are there any remaining abilities in One Piece left that aren't accounted for by GUST? Feels like pretty much covers all the weird, unexplained abilities, but are any left that throw you off? By GUST, do you mean what I've put already, or GUST in the whole theory, as in the stuff I haven't even posted about? Because right now I still haven't done the video on Devil Fruits, which will also include stuff like Lunarian powers, the Seraphim, Black Blades. All the stuff is accounted for. I'm not sure. There's off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything that any major thing at least that isn't really explained by the theory. I mean the theory as it is in my head at the moment, right? Because of course, the videos I still have to explain Devil Fruits, which are the major thing, and Club Alterman and Black Blades and such. Won't Blackbeard go to Wano because of the ancient weapon? That will probably happen at some point as well. I just don't think that will be what makes Yamato leave. Though it could be as well, to be honest. Yeah, devil fruits have something to do with Haki. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of why they are, affected by Haki. Why you can counter them with Haki. Does that make sense? On the topic of actual parallels, though, Kuro and Jungo are straight up Blackbeard and Lafitte. Kind of, actually, yeah. Yeah. Zoha's Dendenmushi, yeah, they were listening to Vagapunk's transmission. Can you explain why Shirahoshi and Kuma's mother didn't die from birth like the vaginas? One Piece have some kind of gum abilities. Um, Great question, Tristan fan. I guess Otohime's Seimeki powers were just that power. She was powerful. You know what I mean? She was just able to like control her body to make that whole process a little bit easier. The reason I asked is you mentioned in the comments of Conqueror's video that there was no. Yes, you're right. You're right about that. There's no explanation for Hawkins' card drone yet. Has that changed? Yeah. That is actually one major thing. Thank you for reminding me of that. That I think is not really explained. That I don't have a really good explanation for at the moment. Is some of the prophecy stuff, uh, abilities like Hawkins, and he's able to kind of predict the future with tarot cards and shit. And Charlie, Madam Charlie from Fishman Island. The one thing I talked about in the comments, in the comment that this guy's referring, that Shimoshima is referring to, um, is that it seems to me, okay, that there might be, uh, we know that Haki can change the near future, right? For example, a user of Future Sight can see the future with Haki, and then alter it so things don't happen as they were supposed to. Um, but there seems like there are some big events that kind of the universe kind of conspires to happen. Um, so you could call it fate or destiny or whatever. Uh, but basically, I think there's what this kind of abilities, like Charlie, like Hawkins, seem to predict would be more along the lines of this fate. So, not really predicting the near future because they don't have future sight, but predicting kind of like this big events that the universe kind of conspires to happen, right? Predicting this, sensing this fate. The thing, the thing about them, which I think, which I had also talked about in that comment, why I think it's not just Haki, at least, is that they both have to use some kind of object to be able to make their predictions. So Hawkins has to use his tarot cards. He has to use this tarot deck, and Charlie had to use this crystal ball. In fact, there's a moment where Charlie breaks the crystal ball because she doesn't want to predict the future anymore. So I think there's got to be something special about the themselves, the objects, right? So whether it's they've been changed by Haki or by some devil fruit ability or something, there's something special about the objects that they're using probably as well. But as I said, I don't really have the explanation of how it truly works. You think major events are easier to see in the future since a large flow of key from many different sources pull in those events, thus making them easier to think but harder to change? See, normally you'd think that events that are farther into the future, very specific events, would normally be harder to predict. You know, butterfly effect and all. Normally, some small change in the present could cause like huge changes in the future, right? But I think there might be something more about the way the One Piece world works, where there are certain forces, as I say, this fate that kind of forces things to happen. You see throughout the story a lot of characters talking about fate. Like Blackbeard, I think, talks in his crew. They talk a lot about fate. Could the objects just be a catalyst for how they apply their understanding of future sight? Kind of like how Golden Week can only use her emotion haki through the application of color or symbols. In her case, it's easier to explain because the paint and the symbols they're acting as a medium that she imbues the haki into, right? In this case, I'm not sure what like imbuing like observation or whatever into the cards or the crystal ball would possibly do. Remember me, ki is a real concept in One Piece world like haki. Kinda. I mean, so breath is an actual thing, okay? And because when Zoro talks about things having a breath, and that to me is very. Once you understand the meaning of ki as breath, you understand why that is a thing, right? You can see how that was specifically inspired by this notion of ki, right? But actual ki, as mentioned by name, the closest thing I think we have is Laoji. Laoji literally spoke about using qigong, right? That said, Laoji was clearly not a very reliable source of information. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how far how far we should take Laoji's statements here. Do you think Knight asked Imu to make the Minks forget the existence of the Toa fruits with her memory erasing water haki? No, I think they still know. I'm not sure if Imu knows, to be honest. I think they know. But at least the Dukes, I think the Dukes probably know. Blackbeard being multiple people is because of his haki being strong enough to contain extra souls. There's something special about Blackbeard's body and about his lineage. That specifically was stated. So whatever is going on with Blackbeard, at least to some extent, cannot be just Haki, right? If Joy Boy is supposed to be a strong parallel to Luffy, and their friends allies are also supposed to be strongly connected, then how will Luffy come out on top when Joy Boy failed? That is an interesting question. I'm not sure if Joy Boy's companions are necessarily all the strong parallels to Luffy's. How sure are you about Knight's existence? Very sure actually. As I said, I found out a lot more shit about the carrot stuff. While not even trying to find out stuff about it, it's just everywhere. Um, enough to make like 2 other videos on it, and one of them would be mostly because I already have them on my head, right? And one of them would be almost entirely about Knight, actually. Because I actually found a lot more evidence, not only for Knight existing, but for very specific things I said about Knight, like Knight having a hagfish devil fruit that would allow her to have like multiple devil fruits, or Knight kind of like, you know, genociding Ringo. I found weirdly specific evidence to that also. And also Knight eventually being coming over to try to assassinate Luffy. I think Blackbeard is part mink or some shit. When I did my chapter number digging right before Hakbar is revealed, Dillinger reveals that he has fighting fish blood. I mean, shouldn't the hint be there being him part fish mink, but part fishman then? The whole chapters feel like an homage to Captain Kuro fight. Do you think Night Haki can kill someone or make someone kill themselves with Haki? I think you commented something about that before, right? But I forgot. I think I forgot to answer. Yeah, I actually had that idea for some time now. Not only do I think it's possible, I think it's if anyone would be able to have that kind of ability, would be Knight, and it would be fitting for sure. But yeah, I think overwhelming someone's mind to the point that you just straight up fry their brains or something should be possible with something like Conqueror's Haki, or forcing them to off themselves also should theoretically be possible. I'm not sure Hagfish, Scorpion, Soul, and I'm actually not sure about the fort. You guys are free to cook. I don't know about the fort fruit. I'm just really strongly, I just very strongly opinionated about those 3 specifically. Do you think that part of the puzzle for immortality very strong Haki could be the combination of people into one person, or at least the combination of their vital energy? Combination of multiple people in one person? Not really, man. I'm not sure. I think it's just, I just see it as, I think the cases of immortality are just specific effects of certain devil fruits, right? I don't think there's necessarily one recipe for it. Like Law's devil fruit is able to has the whole immortality surgery, or Brooks' devil fruit maybe makes him an agent, right? That kind of thing. But I don't think they all follow from one single concept. Do you think Shave could act similar to Gear's second, using armament to restrict Haki in their legs and building up pressure of Ki by stepping 10 times, releasing all that energy in their body? thank you for bringing this up, Crydio, because I was about to forget about this entirely. One thing that I'm not sure if I will get actually into this the Rokushiki stuff in full because been some times now and that was a bit of a disaster. But one thing that I really did want to talk about was Shave or Soto, because I didn't really explain how this works, and I do have a very specific theory on how this works, on how it works. Um, so one thing about, and yes, it is to some extent connected to Gear Second. You were right about that. Um, so one thing about uh, Soto that I think we should that I should point out is that it allows people to move so fast that they become invisible, but only for a very short time, right? So for example, Sanji can now go so fast that he goes invisible, but it took all the way into Onigashima, right? And this is a guy known for his very strong legs. So basically, Zoro allows them to move way faster than they normally would be able to, but only for a very short amount of time. So there is some, I think I can say some confidence that there is Haki going on there because they are going past their natural limits. So what do I think they are doing? Um, so when I explained uh, internal, way back in the Haki Foundations video, right? I explained how ki circulates through a person's body and how Ryuoi specifically, those techniques of internal flow, allows people to flow the ki from all over their body to specific attacks, right? Um, and I think that's kind of key to what's going on here. I think it's likely that Zoro requires you to flow the energy with that internal flow from all over your body to your legs specifically, so that you can release it in one short burst, right? So that's why they kick the ground 10 times really fast. So so they use those 10 kicks to release all that energy in one single burst, but they can't keep using it all the time because they flow the energy from all over their body. It's not something that they can keep doing it continuously like Sanji is able to do now, right? Because Sanji is just that fast now. Uh, so why do I say that has something to do with Gear Second? So Luffy is able to do Zoro in Gear Second. Why? Because he is. The way I spoke about Ki is that this is the energy that flows through your entire body, right? And that, in some ways, it is stamina, and so it is energy that is flowed through different parts of your body through blood, right? Through blood flowing those the oxygen and glycos and whatever to different parts of your body where it can be used for energy. So similarly, Luffy can only use Zoro when he uses to Gear Second to forcibly flow his blood faster than he normally would. So you see the same thing that I'm saying Zoro does, the users of Zoro normally do by flowing the ki through this internal flow of Haki to their legs. Luffy can replicate that by flowing his energy faster into his legs by literally forcing his blood that is carrying his energy to his legs with Gear Second. Does that make sense? So that's why I think Zoro likely requires some extent of internal flow control. This is also because Lucci says that Rokugan, like the six king gun, is kind of like the epitome of Rokushiki, and it basically you can only master it you can only use it once you have mastered Rokushiki. So I think that it's likely that the different things that you have to master for the different techniques of Rokushiki, they each get used in some way for Rokugan. So I think this aspect of internal flow that you have to master for Soru would be necessary as well to Rokugan, right? Because you have to flow a great amount of energy into your fists to be able to release it as impact. Which is also why Lucci gets so tired. You know, he's huffing and puffing after he uses Rokugan because he's literally using a lot of energy from all over his body into one single attack. Who do you think will be the new Yonkos after Luffy becomes Pirate King? I'm not sure if there will be new Yonko after Luffy becomes Pirate King. I think we're gonna have the. Um, I think it's gonna be a battle between the Yonko. What the fuck? Hello? Okay. I think it's gonna be a battle between the Yonko to decide who's gonna be the Pirate King, right? But then after that, I think the system is kind of bunk. I don't know if you've noticed this question before. So, do you know of the channel Dawn and Dusk? They make some interesting on Pisteries themselves by translating the original Japanese text. I know their name. I don't think I've watched any of the videos, to be honest. Yeah, I get you. My idea was that act like a pseudo reward, since they can't perfectly control the internal flow. I have to build it up like Luffy does. The 10 steps make more sense for me that way. Right. I'm pretty sure Zou has no. Dendemushi no is just misdirecting us. Yes, it's saved by Hidden Forbidden Lore down. I'm pretty sure Frankie created Dendemushi for the Minx. Uh, Y'all think Lucci was talking through his Dendemushi to Mars? Sounds super weird to me. I'm not sure what panel you're talking about, to be honest. Okay. What the Uh, I recommend checking out Dawn and Dust videos once in a while. Anyways, it could give some interesting insights. To be honest, man, I have very little time to focus on my own stuff, so I hardly see um, anyone else's theories. The most from other people's theories that see these days is probably from comments on my own videos. In part because I don't. Um, I always try to give credit if something is not my original thought. And I think it'd be kind of annoying if I have to do this all the time. I don't want to be a guy compiling other people's theories. And I'm already so far deep into my own theories that to some extent, um, I'm uh, I go to look at someone else's theories and it's like I don't think it aligns. Like inside their own logic, it might make sense, but when I think of all the other stuff I'm theorizing, it like um, it becomes a bit hard to believe. Why Peter transformation is the only no yokai creature? I'm not sure. I'm not sure to be honest. I mean, is there? Maybe there's some specific reason for it, but were they? Did they all need to be yokai? Is my question, I guess. Actually, do you think that Dendemushis use Haki or their ability produced by science, like what Frankie did? I think they're straight up based on the myth I talked uh, about the telepathic snails. I think it's just a biological ability that they have. So of course they humans attach certain pieces of technology to be able to use that telepathy to their own ends, but I don't think they can use Haki because they have never shown any form of real intelligence that should enable them to use Haki. Um, but yeah, I think they likely have their own. They just have some kind of biologically evolved telepathy, using electromagnetic radiation or something, radio waves or something similar for it. That's my take on it. Like what Frankie did. Did Frankie really? I don't remember the Frankie scene exactly. If it did just, I think Frankie liberated a snail. Actually, yes, Dendemushi's Dendemushi's Owen could potentially be very overpowered. Surprisingly, how strong would Chopper and Milk his children be? Um, you see, people are always. I always see people talking about the two piece, and they think Makino's kid is going to inherit the Straw Hat, but maybe that's where we should be putting our bets on. Chopper and Milky's kid might be really overpowered, guys. New theory was the supreme Denden Mushi. Yeah, don't let the emu guy see that because he will actually draw emu as a snail. Chopper doesn't care about human. women because he's a reindeer, but he likes Milky, who's a mink, because she's specifically a reindeer minx. Yes, One Piece genetics are weird. That is true. That is true. Um, you know what's weirder? You know what's weirder? He actually reacted to that to the happiness punch back in Alabasta. So he isn't attracted to human women, but somehow he was affected by Nami's happiness punch. Then so what's going on? And maybe maybe Nami is the, the real user of hypnotism here. Maybe she just straight up using that OP happiness punch emotion haki to down Chopper right then and there. Because otherwise he shouldn't be affected. Chopper is also easily influenced. Yes. Nami emotion haki. Like how Luffy reacts to women, Usopp reacts but doesn't care for Boa. Yes, Usopp is just that influential. Maybe that's Usopp's emotion haki as well. Guys, I'll probably have to be leaving pretty soon. If anybody has any more questions, this live stream went kind of all over the place, to be honest, but it was still pretty fun. I'm glad we could all agree on the poly agenda at least. Exactly. Poly did see. I mean, he saw Nami changing, so there was a little bit. I think she still had underwear, so there was a little bit of a debuff there. To be honest, I don't mean to take too much from the poly agenda, but let's just stick to the facts here. Say, there's been a theory circling around regarding Vegapunk's facilities apparently having a tendency to either explode or be at a risk of exploding. So, what do you think? Do you think Egghead explode? I'm not sure if that's what they're basing it on, but um, there's been a bit of a theme with mushroom. This mushroom cloud type explosions with some of the winter islands we've seen. Like not only there was Vegapunk's original island where he came from that Frankie hilariously destroyed. There was Punk Hazard that exploded, and you could also actually make kind of a parallel with the whole Sakura Blossom thing um, in Drum Island. Because weirdly enough, it also looked kind of a little bit like a mushroom explosion cloud. Um, at least in terms of parallels, it does seem the idea that Egghead would explode somehow does seem like it would make sense, but I don't know how specifically that would happen. If Vegapunk's ancestor of Saxton Hill confirmed. How do you know weapon work if they don't spontaneously combust? That's true. Anyways, yeah, I guess I have to bounce, guys. Um, I hope at least this live stream was able to give you some little bit of entertainment for the break week. But maybe I'll try to make an actual short video on the Rokushiki stuff. Because me trying to explain on live was clearly a bit of a failure. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. It was pretty fun actually. And the 6 powers exist. Is it possible for the 8th power to appear? Well, you see, guys. Uh, we have the 6 powers based on the 6 paths of samsara. We have Rokogan based on Buddhahood, but as I explained in the Conqueror's Haki video, you have both. If you're talking about the different bodies of the Buddha, you have this. You can have the 6 paths, and you can have the Sabogakaya, but you could also have the Dharmakaya. So I'm just making shit up right now, maybe. But maybe that's the 8th power. Anyways, yeah. See you guys and ciao.